Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon down in Nashville.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd, Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you're listening to our show yet again, or maybe even for the first time. Hey, by the way,
yes,
you know what's special about this show? As per usual,
I'm here.
Besides that,
what?
We have a great guest on the line.
Oh, we do?
We do. Yes, and it's not Jared. I mean, we love having Jared, but this is a new person. New person. Who might you be?
Randy Parsons. I'm a guitar maker.
Randy Parsons. That's the well, you might know him from our recent episode with Henri Cash.
Oh, that's right.
Who has a number.
A bevy.
Of these. Yes, is getting quite the collection, as I understand.
A bevy?
And a couple other notable people that we're going to get into deep into Randy's story.
Yes.
Very, very excited about this. Randy, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about super duper guitar stuff, mostly.
Lots of it.
Cool.
Yeah. And we have some great little bits to get to before we get to his interview. But let me start off in the spirit of the aforementioned guest, Parsons Guitar. Yeah. We had a fantastic message from a gentleman named Brody Rowe. Randy, are you familiar with Brody Rowe?
I am. What a great kid.
This is what he says. Hey, just found your podcast from the Henri Cash post. Just started the episode now. I'm a local, and I have a cool guitar that is very much related to Henri. I have a wild build from Randy Parsons, his builder, along with Jack White's and Jimmy Page's. Whoa. It is based on Henri's guitar, but is made out of 110-year-old church pew, bat skull, and some other cool materials. I'm a local if you guys want to check it out and play it. Henri personally picked the color for me. Very, very cool.
All true.
He sent a whole bunch of photos of said guitar, and it is outstanding. I mean, it is really beautiful. And we'll maybe post a couple of these pictures up. And he's got the same exact outfit as Henri, and I think that must have been at the show that it is the show that we played with him, because my T-shirt rack is in the back behind them. So, well, next time say hello, Brody. We played that. Yeah. We opened for them. The Valentinos opened for him, and it would have been great to meet you there. But anyways, nevertheless, that was, I thought, an apropos opening for the show.
That's
yeah,
nice.
So yeah, we're gonna have to get a hold of this dude.
So it's a church pew.
Yeah.
You know what Confucius said?
Okay.
He who farted in church sit in his own pew.
Oh, boy. That's rough. That's rough. We just started.
That's a grandpa joke, man.
Yeah.
That's a great grandpa joke.
Anyways.
It's not just a church pew. It's actually, I bought the church, so it's one of my pews.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I go the extra mile.
Yeah, I only need a little bit of wood, but just buy the church.
I got plenty.
Yep.
Love it.
That's great.
Beautiful.
Anyways, so that was basically the main gist. I do want to also mention we are going to be giving away the Daredevil Hype pedal.
Oh.
And I got all tickled, and we're coming up on a very special season, so we got a couple more things we're going to be giving away in the spirit of that, which I'm very excited about. So anyways, let's get on with what's going on in our music world this week, because we have a whole lot of stuff to talk about.
Lots.
With him. Let's just do it. Tony,
let's just go through it.
Go.
Well, Todd.
And then we'll check in with Randy, everybody.
Okay, that sounds good. This week, I would just like to give a tip of the old chapeau to our local, sort of a local company. They're up in Cleveland, Grover Musical Products.
Like the
Grover
tuners?
tuning machines.
Oh,
yes.
really?
They're
in Cleveland?
Yeah, and they also have a trophy.
I mean, really? They're
division.
in Cleveland?
Oh, I knew that.
We should go see them.
We probably could. But anyhow, I was in the process of changing out my the heads on my tuning machines. And underneath the heads, there's a nylon bushing, and then there's this little spring clippy thing. Well, in my haste to change things, I dropped one of the spring clippy things, and it just went. I mean, you know, it's literally, it's nothing. It's the size of a pin, well, a little larger than that. But anyhow, so I said, well, I could probably do it, put it back on without it. But I said, you know what? Let me go to the Grover website, and I sent an email, and I said, hey, you know, I just lost this one thing, and you know, and I got a response back from Sam Marchuk, the sales manager there.
Oh, Sam.
Hey, Sam, thank you. He says, we'll just send you out the whole replacement kit, which is what this is. And I only needed one little part, but they sent me all these little
Those are very
spring
tiny.
washers. Oh, look how small that is. Try to find that.
I see how small that is.
Try to find that. So
it's like the inside of a Cheerio.
yeah, maybe smaller. But anyhow, I would just say, I mean, I appreciate customer service like that.
Yeah.
And then they sent them, you know, free of charge, send it through the mail.
That's great.
I love it.
Grover, you guys.
Thank you. Secondly, I got a kind of a cool guitar. I worked a trade deal, which is even better because there's no cash
Do
involved.
I know about this?
You maybe don't.
Oh, boy.
So I got some photos and a quick text from our friend Cliff from Clifton Guitar Works.
Okay.
He's been on the show. And he says, hey, I got this guitar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, it's not for me, but I know you like Gretches. And
I didn't know he gave this to you. This is exciting because he told me the whole story. But go ahead.
yeah, I have
Share it with the rest of everybody.
Well, anyhow, so it is a 68 Gretsch Corvette, which is, I mean, I love Corvettes.
I told him to give that. I told him to sell that to you.
Yeah, well, that's what he did. So this is like, what's really cool about it, it's the black to red burst.
That's very cool.
And it's in remarkably good condition. It's got the 2+4 headstock. Has a pair of Hylotrons on it. It has in place of the old style vibrato. This one has an actual Gretsch branded Bigsby, which I thought was really cool too.
Yeah.
And you know, it of course has the bar bridge that has just 6 slots in it, which it's pretty much not intonatable.
Right.
But for some reason it works. So
how about that?
But it works. But as with most other Gretsch guitars, or Corvettes in particular,
it's so light.
the pickguard was just cracked and falling apart and bent.
It smells so old.
Yes. Well, it is because it's
got the graphics on the pickups, which
55.
is cool.
Well, those are the Hylotrons.
No, I'm just saying they're still there.
And Jared and I had a discussion about Hylotrons, didn't we, Jared?
Oh, yes, we did.
And what's cool about them is they're the size of like a Filtertron, but they're true single coil pickups. And what is interesting is they are super low output, maybe 3.5, 4 on the meter. But there is in place of where the second coil would be, there's a giant magnet that connects to a metal piece, and then that shoots up through the pole pieces. And for as low output of pickups as they are, they just sound really, really good.
You're going to have to plug it in before we go, man.
Yeah, we will do
That'll
that.
sound good in the Supra.
So, but the story behind this, I'll give you the quick 2-minute
Good,
story.
because it's taking forever.
I know. So Cliff's son was helping clean out dorms at OSU. And he saw this case with a guitar in it that was all broken apart, missing a tuning machine. The case is actually, I think, the original case. It
might be worth more than the guitar.
Well, maybe not. The two together make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And so his son was just going to bring it back and use it as a wall hanger, and then Cliff started to take a look at some things and cleaned up the wiring, cleaned up the frets, and found a piece for the tuning machine and put it all back together. But then he decided it wasn't his thing, so I have it now, and he has
He
two.
told me about it, and I said, I know whose thing that is. You got to sell that to Tony.
Well, thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
See how nice you are?
Yes.
Or how nice you can be?
I do see that. I'm hoping you do.
Ah.
Anyways, cool. That's
I'll leave it to you in my
that's
will.
super awesome.
Yeah.
What's the going price for something like that if I was to find that on Reverb?
I mean, depending on condition, you're probably looking at anywhere from $900 to $1,500 maybe.
Okay.
And then some are going for less. Some are, but what's the thing that I really like is the Gretsch branded Bigsby, which I prefer Bigsby's over the old other style, which was similar to kind of like a I guess it was a Hagstrom, which is similar to like a Jaguar vibrato.
Well, there's a 6132 Corvette in here for $1,599, but it's only a single pickup, and it's got the trapeze and no burst.
Yeah, this one is
That's a deluxe model.
It's a 6135 because it has two pickups.
Yes, so it's 3 more deluxe.
Yes, much more.
Okay, cool. Let's motor on to Randy. What's going on in your music world this week that isn't necessarily involved with building guitars?
Well, I mean, kind of is.
Perfect.
I have pretty much normal stuff.
Todd.
I have a human skull on my workbench.
Yay.
That a client sent me. He wants me to incorporate it into. And he also sent me a monkey skull along with a monkey on the stick, the Armand set. So that's really all I was given.
Wow.
A monkey skull, a human skull, monkey on the stick, the Armand set. And he basically said, "Let Randy cook."
Is this Doyle from the Misfits or what?
This is a good client. This is
He didn't say no. He didn't say no.
It was Jeffrey Dahmer.
I tried to work with Jeffrey. He's just not into guitars. So
yeah. Anyways,
that's what's going on in my world. And of course, this is all inside a church. So
perfect.
Well, you're safe.
I'll burn in hell.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into why those particular things matter to Randy here in just a little bit. It's a very exciting story.
So how does one incorporate a human skull
Wait,
into
we're
going to
get to that later. I just said that, Tony.
I'm not paying attention to you.
All right. Jared, let's get on with you so we can get on with me and get on with the show.
Sure. Last week was a lot of fun. Our friend Drew, a couple of years ago, started working for Shinedown, and he posted that he was in Nashville a few years ago, and I texted him and said, "Hey, you're in Nashville. Let's hang out. He said, "No, I don't have any days off. I'm going to be busy forever, and I've got all these guitars and a lot of Paul Reed Smiths to repair and all this kind of thing." And he's very good at his job, so he's very.
He was Tech of the Year like a couple years ago when we had him on.
Yeah, he's the man. So
super
I said, "All right,
dedicated guy.
Some other time." 2 years passed, and I get a text last week. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. He texted me. He's like, "Hey, man, I have a day off tomorrow. I finally have a day off. And I'll be in Nashville." I'm like, "Come on over to Gibson." So I was actually able to give him a tour. We don't do public tours right now because of COVID, and we just haven't renewed that aspect of Gibson yet. Tours to public. I know a long time ago you could pay to go on a tour, but that we don't do that. But since he's a very valued member of the music industry, I was able to get him in and gave him a pickup shop tour, and that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And, I also got him in the back of the garage in the VIP area and the vault and all that kind of thing.
Well,
and
he is a VIP.
He is, and it felt so gratifying to finally pay him back for all the tickets that he's gotten us.
Yeah.
And all the coolness and all the awesomeness that he has done for us in the past. Can finally pay it forward. So
That's great, man.
Nice.
that was awesome. So it was good for both of us. He got to enjoy himself, and I got to show him how Gibson pickups are made. And I said, well, now that I gave you the tour, you got to tell everybody to use Gibson pickups. But anyway,
Nice.
that was kind of a joke.
That's
but,
always
yeah.
nice.
So it was a super good time. It was, like I said, it was very gratifying to finally pay it forward back to him.
Good.
Nice. Todd, what about you?
Well, this week I scored a fun little deal. I was staying a little bit later after work, just kind of getting a few things done. And
Nice.
by chance, I just said, well, before I get going,
Let me check Craigslist.
check Craigslist. I know every single thing, every single item that's in there. I mean, I do. And so the first thing that pops up that I was like, wait, my eyeballs registered like something new. And so I called up and I said, I'd love to come pick this up. Or are you close? And he's like, yeah, he's like 5 minutes away. So I went and picked it up.
Yeah.
And, he needed to move it, and I
What is it?
needed to throw some money away. It is literally it's brand spanking new. He's had it for a while, but he just hung it on the wall.
Huh.
It's a Squier jazz bass.
Okay.
But it's the 70s vibe, so it's got the black binding and the black block inlay on a maple neck.
On a maple, yeah.
And
That's cool.
I mean, I literally was the first person to pull the plastic off the pick guard and the back of the
you
neck.
took the plastic off the pick guard?
I know. And,
Wow.
and the chrome piece as well.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing had never been played.
That's nice.
So I scored it for a ridiculously low price and was happy about that. That was cool.
well, good.
Killer looking guitar, and it plays great, sounds fantastic. Super cool.
And you canceled your subscription to Bassmaster.
Yes, I did. I did.
It's too bad.
It is too bad. Somebody will resubscribe me, I'm sure. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyways, so let's get on with things. We need to quickly check in with our pals, Tour Gear Designs.
Yes.
Who make the finest and most affordable patch cables in the business.
And might I
That's
add,
what I think.
Might I add, delicious.
And delicious. They're super thin, and they've got a very, very small actual like profile and I guess footprint, if you will.
Well, think of it as most people are familiar with pancake cables.
Yes.
These have, I mean,
I
virtually
already
the
said
part
that. I
that
already
plugs
said
in
that.
is like,
Yes.
it's non-existent.
It's smaller than a dime. It's the size of the jack itself, which
Yes.
means you can, you don't have to worry about the pancake, boxes in the back and jam it all together with your power source and top mounted
and they come in a C shape
and a U shape
and a U shape. It's a C shape and an S shape.
and an S shape. That's right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, load your cart up because you will.
Yes.
And this is on my board. It's on loads of people's boards that we've had them
it's on
on
my
the show.
board.
It's on Tony's board. Go over there, load your cart up, and use the Guitar Knobs in the coupon code, and you're going to save 10%. That's the Guitar Knobs, all one word.
All lowercase.
Yep, all coming from Canada. Quick lickety split, and you will be happy and thankful. Redo your pedal board, get it all together. Go to tourgear.com, tourgeardesigns.com, I should say.
Yes.
And thank you so much for Tour Gear for sponsoring our Four on the Floor.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. Four on the floor. All right, Randy Parsons from Parsons Guitar. That was a stroke of luck that
Wow.
lined up for you. What is your Four on the Floor?
So my number one, I'm just naked without this. It's just the MXR micro amp.
Yes.
It's just a clean boost that it's my secret weapon. I just, I feel like I don't have pants on if I don't have one. So number two, R2R. I know you had Chris on the show.
A couple times.
Yep.
Yeah, he does a kind of a Rangemaster treble boost. And he actually makes I put one inside Henri Cash's guitars.
Yep.
And Chris is the guy that, he's got all these vintage parts. And I guess Gretsch did one, back in the 60s, and he somehow got a hold of all these parts and the schematic. And so he hand makes these for me, and I stick them in guitars once in a while. It's pretty much the same thing, but I actually kind of prefer it over the micro amp. But anyways, those are my 1, 2.
So
Number 3.
do you
Go
have
ahead.
the pedal version or the amp top version?
The pedal version.
Okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
I have, well, Todd and I both have the amp top versions,
Yeah.
which are, I mean, it looks like it looks like the real thing, but
it's got a 6-way variable switch on it.
Variables.
Anyways, this is not our 4 on the floor. This is yours. What's number 3?
Number 3 is coming in Celestial Effects. They do, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're from the East Coast. And they've got a bunch of things, but they have this thing called Wah the Fuzz. And it's just this, I think there's more settings than there are stars in space. You can go pretty deep into this thing. It's pretty sick.
I mean, we just pulled it up. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
It's fun to play with. So that's number 3. I definitely recommend that. That is just a kick in the pants.
I wonder why do they call that the Cancer?
Because it has a crab on it.
Well, I know, but
it's the he does every pedal. He's Pisces, Cancer.
oh right,
Sagittarius.
Celestial Effects. Duh, I'm
Zodiac.
Yes, that's cool. All right. Wow, I've never seen that. We might have to get them on the show. Let me write that down here. Celestial Effects. Okay, continue to number 4.
Yeah, no, you should. They do some really cool stuff, and this thing really is just a fun toy. Number 4. I used to have one. I've got MXR version, but the vintage Univibe, kind of the Robin Trower. That's just kind of something from my teenage days. I learned recently, basically, if you really want to make that thing work right, you got to turn all your trebles down on your amp, and that's kind of that was kind of his key, because I always tried to back in the late 70s, there wasn't really access to the internet or knowledge. So we were always trying to trying to get that tone and never could quite dial it in. But anyways, that's just a fun piece. I've got the MXR version. It's okay. Yeah. But it's just one of my favorites.
Yeah, I have one of the Dunlop, the Roto Vibes, which is, kind of does that one have a kick? I can't remember. If you kick the switch one way, it's a wah, and the other way it's a No, it's not a wah. It is one way is a
chorus.
No, God, I can't remember now. I haven't
either
used
vibe or chorus on a single.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
like what he said.
Yeah, like what you said. Forgive me for doubting
Look at him. He's right.
I'm always wrong.
Mr. Right guy.
But yeah, it is a cool effect, and in some people park them in certain positions, kind of like you do on a cocked wah, to get a certain tonality out of your rig.
All right.
It's a cool effect, although I could never really make it work for me. I don't know why it's one of my. It just always intrigued me that Robin made a hit song out of that thing, and so everyone ran out and grabbed them, and it was kind of like, at the time it was a little bit useless. I don't know why, but I appreciate the fact that someone could take something kind of obscure like that and then record something that became iconic. So that always just kind of tickled me a little bit.
For those that don't know, or maybe likely too young, do you know what Robin Trower was, made his fame and fortune on, or at least his notoriety? Can you enlighten us on that, or Tony?
Are you saying I'm old?
No.
Well, I mean, if you look at the list of guitar greats, Trower is definitely on one of the list of lists.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead, Randy?
Well, it was bridge over size, right? I mean, that's where he used that effect, and that kind of became, I don't know, my generation, one of the songs everyone had to kind of play around with and try to learn.
Right.
Oh, all right. So just enlightening. That's what we do. We try to. Well, excellent. I appreciate you sharing that with us. It's always fun to learn new ones. We weren't aware of the Celestial Effect, so that was always cool. So we can add that to the list for our analytics, and all of our things that we do.
What is it that we do?
I don't know. We keep track of things. Not at all.
We do.
Anyway,
Well, the one fella does. He's got everything basically cataloged. Every 4 on the floor.
yeah, because I sent it to him. But anyways, but
He
nevertheless.
did that
So
before you sent the info to him.
let's get on with Randy's interview, okay? Now,
Let's do it.
We're doing it a little different this time, everybody. I spoke with Randy before, and he's got a very good handle on his own history, which is great.
Thankfully,
Yes.
somebody does, right?
Yes, we can put the fishing poles down and just kick back and let him spin a story. We're gonna go through a couple chapters here, so I'm gonna do a little chapter.
It's like a little book.
A little chapter
booklet.
setup, and I'm going to turn the page, and he's going to fill in the blanks. Okay?
Nice.
Randy, is that okay with you?
Let's do it.
All right. I think it's fair. Let's just do a brief overview. You're making handmade guitars, one-off. You don't have a production line, and they are wild and fantastic and gaining notoriety very quickly. Well, at least for those of us who are newly introduced to you.
In the know.
Yes, yes. So, and you can tell us about that along the way as you choose, okay?
Okay, so
Hang on.
I mean,
chapter.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. I was going to say chapter
Chapter
1, but please, if you need more overview.
no, go ahead.
Chapter 1. Goodbye, hello.
Uh-huh.
So it was a clear autumn day, and
I was hoping you were going to do that.
so I mean, okay, so just from the start, I mean, my story is kind of like begins just like everybody else's. I started playing the guitar when I was 13 or whatever. And, this is mid 70s. So it was just that magical time that we all went through, just with the new music and the gear and the lack of, internet and all that stuff. Is that period of time everyone's trying to recreate or buy, but, to actually live it was wonderful. So I was the guitar player in high school.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Seattle. So I'm from Seattle. And the first half of this chapter takes place in Seattle. And, or the first half of the book.
Yeah.
It's kind of where everything kind of happened for me. But I was the guitar player in high school, and everyone thought I was going to be a rock star. And, it opened a lot of doors, dated a lot of women. And, it was just a wonderful time. And then after high school, really wasn't an option for me but to go to music school. I had an opportunity to go to college, so chose music school. Went to a kind of artsy-fartsy college in Seattle, Cornish College. Got a degree in classical guitar and composition.
Nice.
Wow.
And then after graduation, the bottom dropped out for me. I had it. I mean, I just wasn't going to do it anymore. I wasn't the most talented at school. I was, just kind of in the middle. And I just kind of questioned, like, well, what's my future? What's my economic situation going to be? All that. I'm either going to teach or try to be a rock star, and that's probably not going to happen. So, reality kind of hit me in the face like it hits a lot of people. And I kind of gave it all up. When I say I gave it all up, I mean, we're talking now, I'm in my mid-20s, and I got rid of all my guitars. Oh. I mean, I just really changed who I was. I went from kind of long-haired rocker, stoner kid to kind of like trying to find myself and reinvent myself, and decided to join the Army, basically. I mean, that was kind of my option. So I joined the Army, and I kind of excelled, and decided to go into a career in law enforcement. So after the Army, I chose to join the reserves. It's only 3 years. And I had a lot of people say, hey, join the military police, do 3 years in the reserves. And then when you get out, you can get hired at a law enforcement agency. So I did that. And I got hired with the Bellevue Police Department, which is a suburb of Seattle. And I did that for 5 years. I had the short hair, and the whole thing was
you
really...
have a mustache?
I did for a year. I had that little mustache going. You don't want to get pulled over. It's like, oh, yeah, you got a mustache.
It's like Super Troopers.
So, yeah, I was that. Well, yeah, actually. kind of freaks me out when I see pictures. I'm like, wow, I don't even remember that guy.
And now that's like every hipster walking around right now. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to go back to that look. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of what it was. And then the weirdest thing ever happened to me in my entire life, and I've told this story before, and all I can tell you is that it was absolutely the truth. But about 4 years into my law enforcement career, and again, no guitars in the house, it just was like a distant memory. I was taking a shower, and I got hit with this vision that knocked. Well, it didn't literally knock me on my ass, but it made me shake and it made me sweat. Oof. And I got out of the shower, and what had happened in a fraction of a second, I saw an alternative life, and I actually saw myself not just building guitars, but building guitars for Jimmy Page. I know that sounds crazy, but it was such a weird vision that it really spooked the crap out of me. And I dried off, and I went to my wife, and she was absolutely horrified. And I said, hey, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to build guitars. And she was just like...
Was she horrified when you got out of the shower or after you told her that?
Probably both. I don't know.
I didn't know. Were you like a never nude before, or like...
She said, put your clothes on.
Oh, my God. You promised.
Good. Well, no, we're nudists. No. So anyways, I was just like, hey... we were renting a house and there was this weird basement area. I said, hey, I decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to build guitars in the basement, and I'm probably going to just spend another year with the department. And then I'm going to get out. I'm going to build guitars as a career. This is what I've always wanted to do. And she's not happy about it at all. She was actually an artist. And so there was really no income coming from that side.
Sure.
And then that's a
tricky thing to do. I just take a moment to take that in. I mean, when you lock in with someone, you say, "Okay, I think I know everything about you, and I think we're good, and I like what's in my shopping cart," and then that's a big move because it doesn't just affect you. That's going to affect her in some way, or vice versa. If she said, "Hey, I'm gonna quit my thing and do ballet or whatever," you're like, "Yeah, but." Dudzik doesn't pay the rent. What are we doing here? That's got to be tricky to get through in a relationship.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, we didn't last. We
like I
divorced,
said.
Well, there you go.
That's called foreboding.
But I think that actually was because she saw me naked, and then it was like,
yes.
No. So, yeah, well, so my plan was, I was like, well, I'm not going to quit tomorrow. I said, if I go 5 years with the department, then I can take out some of this retirement money, and then I can start my business with that. And she was just like, oh my God, I hate you. And, but then what happened is all these things started to happen, and these right people came into my life during that 1 year. And, I was just like a madman. What I did is that day I went to Home Depot and I bought one of those bandsaws for $99, those little mini bandsaws. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't know anything about anything. So I went over to the lumber section. I'm like, well, this looks like wood that you would cut, and glue together.
This sounds like something I would be doing.
Right. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, well, you lay the wood down and you draw a picture of the guitar on the wood and you cut it out. So that's what I was doing. And I would get halfway through something and I'd kind of mess it up. So I'd just throw it away. And she'd be like, why are you throwing this stuff away? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm trying to learn this. And the first person I met, you may have heard of this guy, Boaz, Boaz.
I don't think I have.
He is a walking encyclopedia. He's a walking time machine. He's from Israel. This is a guy that traveled the world on his motorcycle, ended up at the tip of South America, and built a guitar with a pocket knife on a bet. And
That sounds like Alan Johansson, actually. It sounds like.
Are you talking about Larry Johansson?
No,
the great Larry Johansson.
No. Anyways, he was a gypsy. He's a guest. He is a gypsy. Yeah. And if you want to hear about that episode, you can go back. Tony's going to tell you which one.
I will tell you which one that is.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So this guy was just a charismatic gypsy. But he had some skills. He had old world skills. He built flamenco guitars, Spanish heel type instruments. And he just happened to be in town doing this Kasha project. Kasha is this type of acoustic guitar they came up with in the 70s with an offset sound hole and asymmetrical bracing. And kind of met him, kind of like he taught me some things, and that kind of like got the whole ball rolling. And so what happened was I quit my job after a year, and I didn't really have a big plan. So I decided, well, I'm going to open a repair shop. And at the time, this was now like the early 90s, and, the Seattle scene was exploding. There was already some guys in town that kind of like had that whole thing dialed in.
Yeah.
There was one shop that you just didn't mess with, and people were like, Randy, you can't open a repair shop in Seattle. So-and-so will destroy you. It's like, it's just not going to happen. I'm like, no, I got a vision. I saw Jimmy Page in the shower. It's all going to be good. So that's what I did. I opened up a repair shop, and I just had this weird, all the guitar playing kind of came back to me. And the thing about repairs is that I didn't have a lot of knowledge when it came to like certain instruments. I wasn't a gearhead. I couldn't talk about this year and that year, but I understood physics. I understood the engineering of neck angle, string angle, breakover in the bridge, nut slots. I really kind of like, you could give me any guitar and I could automatically see the problem with it, and I could improve it by, changing the neck angle or whatever. Mm-hmm. I understood intonation a lot better than most people did. I can talk intonation for an hour if you want. But, and so I started actually getting popular, and there was one guy that was doing Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and he was like the man. And then I had my little shop, and then I kind of became the man. And then I had 2 shops, and then I had 7 shops in the region.
Wow.
And then I had an all-female staff. So I had friends that were in the theater business, and I came to them early on. I said, hey, I want to open up these repair shops, but I want them to look kind of like Harry Potter's cave. I want people to kind of walk into this like dark place with cool lighting, bunch of rock and roll posters. I really want to like, push that vibe. And I'm only going to hire like pretty girls to work behind the counter. And then I started finding female luthiers. And then before I knew it, the press was kind of like, we gotta cover this guy. There's this guy, that went from being a cop to growing out his hair to opening all these crazy repair shops and all these crazy women that work for him. And now it's like, everyone's like, well, who is this guy? And then everyone started kind of coming to me. And then I really started getting kind of artistic in the whole thing. I was like I started building basically on my off time. So I was repairing guitars 7 days a week. And at nights, I was still experimenting with building. And I was doing things like, well, what if you took a cow skull and you chopped it up and used that for the interior bracing, kind of stuff like that. So I was doing all this weird stuff.
Randy, that sounds like a segue that's going to lead us to chapter 2, The Third Man.
Jack White. Yes. So what happened there was,
that's theater, everybody.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Genius.
Continue.
Okay. Well, I was getting all this attention from press, and people were like, hey, you got to check out Parsons Guitar Shop. This guy is like, he's got the magic touch. And I got a call from Jack White's people, and they were like, hey, heard good things about you. Jack's starting this new band called the Raconteurs, and he wants to get a guitar painted. And I'm like, yeah, sure, It's kind of weird because this wasn't a local guy. This was someone from Detroit giving me a call in Seattle. So I was like, yeah, so what do we do? And they're like, well, he wants to take like this duo jet and he wants you to paint it copper and add a middle pickup. So like there's going to be 3 pickups and then you're going to paint it copper. And I'm like, cool, yeah, I can do that. So they sent me the stuff and got the stuff, and I called the person back and I said, yeah, this is really cool. I'll have it done, in a couple of weeks. And I've got, some more ideas if Jack's interested. And they were like, no. They're like, listen, they go, let's do this one guitar and let's just consider it a beautiful thing, and then we'll all go our different ways. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's fine. And so I did the guitar. It looked great. And it was painted kind of metallic copper. And Jack emailed me. He said, hey, man, thanks a lot for the guitar. Really love it. Looks great. And I emailed him back and I said, yeah, it looks okay. I said, it's too bad you didn't let me do real copper. And he wrote back. He was like, what? And I said, like custom make this guitar from the ground up, and I could make the top actual copper, so like if you were playing an outdoor gig, you could literally take down an airplane. And he was like, well, yeah, I kind of want that. And so that was the copper triple jet. And so I made it from the ground up, and I was really out of my depth, to be honest with you, because I didn't really think, I didn't know I could do it at all. That was just kind of came out of my head. And then I had to be like, oh shoot, I gotta figure out, number one, how to, you gotta write the check, man. Yeah. So I was just like, well, I said, it's going to cost this much, which is a ridiculous low amount. Not that was all my fault, but
and this is before copper went through the roof, so you got lucky on that one, I imagine.
Well, you have to understand is that I really wasn't an accomplished guitar maker, so I had 2 problems. Number one, I had to make a guitar out of copper, or at least the top, and then number 2, I had to build a guitar for Jack White, and I really wasn't a guitar maker. I had all my shops were small. Like I said, I had multiple repair shops in the Seattle area, but they were all these tiny little spaces. I had a little bandsaw in the back to cut nuts. And so I was like, oh man, I got to figure this out. But that's fine. I did it. So I made this guitar and I did a copper top, and I was running late on it. And he was like really excited about the guitar. And he said, hey, I'm playing the Conan O'Brien show, and I really, really want to debut this guitar in the Conan show.
Oh my God.
So it was one of those things where I was like sweating. I was nervous. The guitar was kind of heavy, and we literally had to overnight it to New York so he could play on the Conan. And me and my friend were like, staying up all night to see if it was even going to make it on the show. And I kept saying, he's not going to play it. He's not going to play it, and then boom, there it was, live. That's on TV. Amazing. And then what happened was, that original conversation I had with him that this was going to be just one thing and we were going to go our different ways lasted 10 years. And then amazing. I made some other guitars for him, made some other triple jets, and I made the Green Machine, which was in the movie It Might Get Loud.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was the, for those that don't know, it was the... So now he thinks I can do anything, right? Like, what if we do this? What if we do that? Well, yeah. So he said, he's like, what if we is there any way you can put harmonica mic inside a guitar, and then I can pull it out, and then if I let go of it, it spins back up inside the guitar? And I was like, yeah, I can totally do that. And then, so the problem was, it was a Green Bullet microphone amp, or a harmonica microphone, and those things weigh about 5 pounds. I don't know if you've ever held one, but they're really, really heavy.
Oh my goodness, that's close to that's like the weight of another guitar.
Exactly. So my plan was well, what about I was thinking, okay, well, hair dryers, they have the retractable little mechanism, so we went out and I bought a bunch of hair dryers and stuff, and it was just nothing. It wasn't even going to move that thing at all. And I was so lucky. I went into a vacuum cleaner repair shop. Yeah. And I really met the Rain Man of vacuum cleaners. And this guy comes out and he's got these glasses 3 inches thick. And I was just like, dude, listen to me. This is the situation. I've got to make a guitar with this 5-pound microphone that like whatever. And he's like the Hoover B321Z. and he goes back in his shop and he has this wheel mechanism that's like, just the perfect for this. It was a Gretsch anniversary junior. And so in the movie, it might get loud. There's a picture of me like routing out the back of that guitar, kind of like a circle, and I'm dropping the mechanism in there. And it worked. It was just a miracle.
Amazing.
The schematics.
I remember that on the movie. Not your picture, but the actual guitar with the microphone thing. I'm like, who was genius to think of that?
Well, he thought of it and took credit for it, and that's fine. But I was the idiot.
You made it happen, man, with the vacuum guy.
The vacuum guy, man. Yeah.
That's awesome. This is great.
But that's how I rolled. I mean, that you kind of like you fake it till you make it type thing, and you just figure this stuff out as you go. You're not going to say no to an opportunity like that. At least I'm not. So now I'm really getting popular, and there's a lot of money in Seattle as far as there's a lot of like low key billionaires in Seattle. People that you just don't know. It's different. It's different than LA, and LA is different than the East Coast, and different than Florida. In Seattle, it's like, the wealthy don't drive around in black SUVs with security. They just kind of like drive their own cars, you know? And so these real cool people started coming to my shop, and they were collectors, and they started ordering crazy custom pieces. It was kind of, everyone had a weird idea, and it kind of like, I'm not going to say it didn't burn me out, but it kind of drove me crazy where I'm like, I wish someone would just come in and ask for like, a telly. But there was like, hey, I got this idea. What if, the neck was made out of like a dead, naming animal, and then the body was made out of some exotic material that doesn't exist, and then I would have to be like, yeah, I can do that. And then just kind of figure it out. So what happened was it kind of led me into a different path. And that was now I'm starting to become a guitar maker and kind of letting the repair kind of slip. And then I kind of realized it's like, I got all these women working for me, and I'm not saying they're not working hard, but I'm really the guy doing all the work.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this facade that I've kind of created and this image, but it's like, I'm really just working too much. I'm doing repair work, 10 hours a day. And then at night I'm doing all these crazy customs. And, I decided to leave Seattle, and that would be the end of chapter 2, I think.
Wow. Oh, this is fantastic. Well, it's a good thing. My thumb is nice and licked. We're turning the page. And let me see here. From chapter 3 is Freewheel Burnin'.
Yeah, so what happened there was, I don't know, is anyone from Seattle?
No.
Okay, it's gloomy. It's gray and wet for about 9 months a year. And
I was out in Fort Lewis for a while, so I've been out there. I've lived out there for a year.
Were you an MP at Fort Lewis?
I was, yeah.
What year?
So 96 to 99.
Okay.
More so 98-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't cross paths.
No. I remember going into the Burger King and on post, and then if you parked a certain way in the parking lot, you could see Mount Rainier. It was pretty cool.
And were the barracks were kind of in that back area up that little hill?
There was a ton of barracks there. That thing was a small city, man.
Yeah.
It's huge. We went back about 5-6 years ago, and the barracks that I used to stay in, they were getting ready to tear them down.
Okay.
It's just evolving into new buildings.
Yeah.
It was
I
eerie.
spent some time there.
Cool.
But I thought like, okay, well, I've kind of like made something of myself here, and my clients really are now, they're not from Seattle. They're from all over, and I'm like, where do I want to live? And I'm like, I want to live in LA. There's palm trees and there's beaches. So I kind of packed up and went down the coast, and I found this cool, funky commercial building in Ventura, California. Ventura is about 45 minutes north of LA. It's kind of a throwback beach community. I don't know. People probably know it's between Santa Barbara and Malibu. There's this town
You know
called
how you
Ventura.
get to Ventura from LA?
Is this a joke, or? I mean, do you want me to answer that?
Ventura Highway. Tony's leaving me hanging on this.
Yeah.
I should have known that was coming. I'm sorry.
Tony, you're two demerits. Anyways, go ahead.
I thought you were going to be like, well, you want to jump on the 101 to the 33 and then jump on the 68.
The Californians.
Yeah.
The PCH.
So I was just kind of like, I'm just going to drive down there and look around. And there was this like funky commercial building. And it was a 2-story building. Down below was this tattoo parlor, and something else was going on down there. I wasn't really paying attention. And then upstairs, it had this big vacancy sign on it. And it was 2 blocks from the beach. And it was probably too much money than I needed to be getting into. But I was kind of cocky, and I just kept thinking that, my career was going to roll. So I was like, okay, that's it. I'm giving up Seattle, and I'm going to move to Ventura, and I'm going to lease out this building. And so I kind of negotiated, and got the building. And it was so much money that I didn't tell the landlord, but I was going to live in the building too, because I couldn't afford to get an apartment and lease a commercial building. So I'm just going to sneak in there. I'll be able to shower somewhere or do whatever I need to do. So I rented this building for 8 years in Ventura. Yeah, so what they never explained to me, the landlord, was not that they needed to, but the place that I was going to lease was George Christie's old hangout. And George Christie, he's kind of the fallen Hell's Angel. He's got his own show on the History Channel, Outlaw, whatever. Mm-hmm. And downstairs, the first floor is still occupied basically by the Hell's Angels. They have a tattoo parlor there. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. Actually, it was very interesting to me because I was always as a teenager, fascinated with the Altamont story, the free concert the Rolling Stones did. And it was even as a teenager, I loved the Rolling Stones, but I always kind of sided with the Angels, because I was like, well, obviously, you can't, there was no security. The crowd was out of control. You hired the Hells Angels for security, and you paid them in beer. And when you kind of look at all the footage, and again, this is me 14 years old analyzing the situation, I'm going, well, the Hells Angels obviously felt that the thing was getting out of control. And the only story people repeat is that, the Hells Angels stabbed and killed a guy. But what they don't tell you is that, but that Hells Angels went to court in a unfriendly courthouse with an unfriendly prosecutor and an unfriendly law enforcement agency, and actually won. He was found not guilty for reasons of self-defense.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know the rest of the story there. I mean, I'm kind of getting off.
It sounds like the book from Exile or the book Exile on Front Street. Is that what that kind of covers?
Yeah, where then they went to Mick Jagger and they said, "Hey, you owe us $50,000 for court fees."
Yeah,
and Mick Jagger said no, and so then they put a team together to sink his yacht.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah, this. I don't know if this is in the book, but so what happened is they went back and forth with the organization with Mick Jagger, and they said, "Hey, our guy, you owe him $50,000 for court fees," and of course Mick was like, "No, I'm not paying anything." And they got together and they actually they did this mission to go out and sink his yacht. It was I think it was off the coast of New York, and it was only because of a storm that they had to bail on the whole thing. But the news got to Mick that they tried to sink his yacht, and the next day Mick sent him $50,000.
Jeez.
So anyways, so let me go back. The idea was I was fascinated, and And I always kind of like I said, a huge Stones fan, huge. And I'm 14 years old, but I'm kind of like, this story doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like the Hells Angels were in the right. So then I'm like in a situation where I'm like going to have to be friends with these guys. I mean, I'm living illegally above them, and we're sharing the same front door. So this is, it's kind of a situation. Anyways,
yeah,
it's just interesting to deal with them. So anyways, I had a relationship.
Any guitars from you?
No, they actually took care of me because the city started falling apart. Like I had a car that got broken into like every 2 months. I'd wake up and there's glass on the street. I was just like, man. And so I was complaining to one of the guys about it, and he was just like, oh, we'll take care of that. And they put some like support stickers and some other stuff on the back, and I was just like, all right, that's not going to do anything. It's the last time my car was ever broken into.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Interesting.
I never asked questions, and it took about 4 years before I could actually like go out and have coffee or dinner with these guys, because it takes about that long before they can trust you. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I was really impressed with, there was definitely a level of integrity, super, super intelligent guys. I mean, I was actually really impressed. So the bottom line is I rented this big building, probably spent $500,000 on rent, and it just didn't work out that well.
Yikes. This sounds like I'm getting the prompt to turn the page again.
Turn the
here.
page.
Okay, chapter 4, American Gothic.
So what I did, again, for some reason, every 10 years, I like to reinvent myself. Like went from police officer to taking over the city of Seattle as a repair guy, to going down to California and illegally living in a building with the Hells Angels. And then the clock went off, and I decided, okay, now what am I going to do?
Uh-huh.
And I always wanted to like have a real funky space, like an old school or an old church. And the one thing that California taught me is that, space is really important if you're creative, and you should probably own it. I mean, I told my wife, I said, we're leaving California.
New wife, different wife.
New wife. Yeah, I guess, yeah. New, better wife.
Yes,
new, improved. Okay. We're divorced now. No, we're fine.
So anyways, I came out of the shower and said, we're moving.
I had this vision. There were stained glasses everywhere.
Yeah.
And church pews.
Yeah, of course.
So anyways, I made my escape. I escaped California. I barely escaped. It was rough. I had to like sell everything I didn't need. And I was able to like buy this old Gothic church in Kansas for cash, basically, which is wonderful. Different paradigm to actually own the place instead of renting the place and losing all your money. Mm-hmm. And so sight unseen, we found this place on the internet. It was this abandoned Gothic church in a place called Independence, Kansas. And seems like a pretty cool town. They celebrate Halloween for 10 days every year. The city flag's got like a witch on it. And so I was like, yeah, we're going there. And we drove 2 cats, and we towed my little white car with the Hells Angel sticker, 5 states. And we arrived in this church, and it's just cool. The basement's 5,000 square feet. It's got 15-foot ceilings, and it's got a sanctuary upstairs that 42 priceless stained glass windows. The building's actually on the National Registry, and it's got a 3rd floor and an attic, and it's just really cool. It's in the middle of town on Main Street. The town is just great. And I'm like, wow, so this is cool. And there were a bunch of like old church pews upstairs, and so I ripped those apart and decided that I was going to make a bunch of guitars out of them. And so I've been in the church 2 years, and the first year was basically just getting like water lines and replacing the plumbing and this and that. And then the second year, I had a lot of builds to do, a lot of obligations, people that ordered guitars when I was in California. And these people were really cool. I had to say, hey, I got to take a couple years off. I got to get out of California. I got to find a place to live. I really need to own a place this time and not lose all my money on rent. And so that's kind of all been taken care of now. And I'm right now, like the last 6 months, I've been building more guitars. So I've built more guitars in the last year than I built my entire time in California. And I'm building probably the best guitars that I've ever built right now. Like for instance, built all of Henri Cash's guitars, my buddy Brody. And then I'm building some crazy guitars for a crazy client in Florida who, what he does is he sends me boxes of like vintage pickups and vintage parts, but like really cool pieces. And then he's just like, hey, I've always wanted this pickup. I've always wanted this bridge and these set of tuners. Just start building guitars around this gear. And
like
so,
that old Kohler commercial. It was like, what do you want me to build for you? And they said,
yes,
build. And then they put the faucet down. They said, we want you to make a house around this. And he's like,
it's wonderful. Yeah, it's a dream. And so, like, if you go to my Instagram, Parsons Guitars, you'll see a bunch of like cool guitars with like coyote skulls inside the guitars that like light up. Just a bunch of like different variety stuff. And that's basically this guy saying, go to town and build some cool stuff. And he's the one that actually sent me the human skull that wanted me to do something. And I had a crazy idea. I said, okay, let's do the human skull somewhere inside the guitar. Maybe we'll do like an arch top so we can fit the thing and maybe have it like peeking out a little bit. And if you really want to go crazy, maybe we can do bone frets, which is something that I've done many times before.
Oh, wild, yeah.
I saw
something about that. I think that's... anyways.
I saw a couple things on the internet too. And I'm like, it's like, I did that. I started doing that back in Seattle. I retrofitted a bunch of classicals with bone frets. And then in California, I did a telly with bone frets and donated it to the Children's Hospital for this auction. So I've been doing that for a while. And so I said, well, what if we got a bunch of woolly mammoth? It's petrified woolly mammoth bone and tusk. It's over 10,000 years old. There's a dealer that deals in this stuff. Some people use it for nuts and saddles. I said, well, what if we make the whole entire guitar out of woolly mammoth with narwhal frets?
Oh my gosh.
And then we put a human skull in the middle with a switch that turns on like a yellow light, so that like the eyeballs light up.
Is Ali Jorgensen from Ministry or?
Well, I don't know because he hasn't called me back in 2 months, so I don't know if I went too far. No, this guy's one of these collectors that is really interesting because he's really like full of knowledge. Like sometimes you work with these wealthy people, and you get the feeling that you're just going to make them something, and maybe they don't care too much about it. They're going to get it and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah," and put it somewhere, on their wall or their warehouse. But like this guy's really intense with like, he can talk to you about wire gauge inside the pickup and, all that stuff. So he really gets into it, which is fun for me. I appreciate that. And so we've got a couple things going on with that. We've got the human skull. I said earlier, we've got the monkey skull. We have about 36 pickups in boxes, everything from like, Diarmid gold foils to, just stuff he pulled out of like vintage instruments. And it's just really fun. And so I'm in this big church. I've got this incredible shop, and I got more space than I know what to do with. There's no rent. It's completely paid for. And I'm just really looking ahead to the future, and it's really exciting. We're also doing like, like in the 70s, the Faces, they did some live concerts at the Paris Club. If anyone hasn't checked that out, you should definitely check it out. It's on YouTube, 1972 Paris Club, the Faces.
Got it.
And it was like a small club, and they videotaped the shows. And I actually have a room downstairs that's It's a little over 2,000 square feet, high ceilings, a couple bathrooms, multiple exits, and it's completely paid for. So I'm actually in the process of actually putting together kind of a similar situation, a little music venue.
Cool.
So it's really just it's kind of a weird life to go from like the military to police to Seattle, opening a bunch of repair shops, people telling me I shouldn't do it, and then having all these famous people knock down my door and then saying, well, I've had enough, so I'm going to go live in California.
Yeah.
And then meeting the angels and having a good experience and then losing all my money, but having enough to go to Kansas and buy a church. And so that's like chapter 4, and I'm looking forward to chapter 5, 6, and 7.
Yes, and all I have left here is chapter 5, which is called 30-something.
That's another TV show reference.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So, I started this journey in 1995. That's when I quit my job. And so in 1 year, it's going to be my 30-year anniversary. I've never done a production guitar. And I kind of want to do one, and I actually have a good idea for one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a production guitar. It's going to be affordable. And the only way you can get one is by going to my Instagram and then following my Instagram to my Patreon and then signing up to be, to go down that route. It's about $185 a month for a year, and you get one of my very first Parsons production guitars. It's probably going to be called the Bat Junior. Don't know yet. It's going to come in 2 colors, orange and black. And everything, I put so much effort into the creative aspects of my guitar, almost too much. Like I just did this crazy Wonderland bat. It's on my Instagram with this crazy mushroom inlay. The whole thing has 50,000 pieces. I've done these Wonderland Queens and Wonderland Kings. And again, they're just over the top, elaborate instruments. And this time I want to put all that energy into just a tone monster, something that's like, like this thing's going to be just a double cutaway, single pickup, top route, pickup cover over the top, bolt on neck. But, it's all going to be about the right weight, the right tone, the playability, the affordability, and it's definitely going to bear my name, and it's going to be my first year, my first production model. And I'm very excited about that. So
sounds
that's kind of where I'm going. Yeah.
Very cool. That's a nice way to sort of pop a cork on 30 with something totally new and different. That's
yeah,
really
I think
cool,
so.
man. Yeah,
I think so.
Well, you clearly have a storied past, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us. We're thanking you for sharing that with us. A wild ride indeed. And, normally we get into like, well, tell us all about the guitars and stuff. But, uniquely, yours are all completely different. So that would be a very long story.
Yeah.
And
it's a problem.
One that would be probably hard to follow. The point is, you're making pretty amazing stuff, and it's unique. And if that's something that you are interested in, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy to do it for you. So, without further ado, we're going to tap into the wide world of Jared Brandon's head, and he's going to deliver us from evil.
That's right. While my buddies drive on up to my house in Nashville and the old El Camino.
Well, we may take a side trip over to Kansas to check out the church.
That's
you
true.
should. You absolutely should. You should go praise those new guitars coming up, the production model guitars. I think that sounds like a great opportunity. But we're going to play a little game of Would You Rather right now. And
what's the introduction, Jared?
It's a song, and it goes like this. Would you rather? Just like that. Our good old buddy Bob Crouch sends us this Would You Rather this week, and he calls this the edge of breakup. It's the early 1990s. You have been offered a one-night-only appearance on Saturday Night Live when you were walking down the street.
This is unintentionally very much mirroring everything you just told us. This is totally unintentional. We had no idea you were going down this path. Jared, please continue.
You will be playing guitar at a part of a live audience sketch with the cast. Your payment for the appearance is that you get to keep the guitar you play during whichever sketch you choose to be in. The drawback is that you get absolutely nothing in payment if you laugh or react to the performer in any way.
Oh. So you can't break character.
You cannot break character and laugh. So and it's early 90s.
Oh,
so
geez.
think
I know where to. Okay.
Yeah, so think, Chris Farley, all those boys.
Yeah, and the others.
Yes. Chris wasn't in the 90s. It was more like Dana Carvey and
No, that was 90s. But go ahead. No,
in the early 90s, early 90s.
Adam Sandler.
I guess it was early 90s. Adam Sandler, yeah, that was mid 90s.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody gets the idea.
Yes.
So in sketch 1, you were playing a late 50s or early 60s 3-pickup Black Beauty Les Paul. And yeah, that's like a super expensive guitar nowadays. And the featured performer is Chris Farley, my guy. In sketch 2, you are playing a 50s Blackguard Telecaster.
Ooh.
And the featured performer is Adam Sandler, another highly regarded guitar and a very historic guitar. Remembering that you get nothing if you break character, which opportunity do you go for? Bob says,
boy.
I would personally risk doing anything to have in the same room as Chris Farley. But I'm quite sure that I would have walked out with nothing but a lot of laughing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
of
think
Of course,
that's
it's Chris Farley.
fair to say.
Yep.
All right, Tony.
So let me get this
Go
straight.
ahead.
So option 1, sketch 1, you are playing a 50s or early 60s Black Beauty, and the performer, the star, is Chris Farley.
Yeah, band down by the river, Matt Foley.
I know. Or at sketch 2, you're playing a 50s Blackguard Telly, and Adam Sandler is the guy.
Yes.
Opera Man,
But you can't.
red hooded sweatshirt.
But if you break character, you get absolutely nothing.
Yep.
But if you keep character, you get to keep the guitar.
Lunch Lady Land.
All right, Tony, what are you doing?
I don't think that I could sit with Chris Farley without cracking up.
Yeah.
Period. So I don't think I could keep character with Chris Farley. Adam Sandler, he's okay, but he wouldn't. I'd stand a better chance staying in character with Adam Sandler. So I'm going to take skit number 2
And keep the Blackguard Telly, which are roughly around
$150 or so.
Yeah, you can easily pick one of those up. All right, Jared, how about yourself?
Definitely going to 100% take my chances with the Black Beauty. And if I have to give it up from laughing, I just don't care. Because I want to be in the same room as Chris Farley. That's it. I'll take Chris Farley, 5 minutes with Chris Farley, and lose the guitar.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll do it.
All right. That's pretty big because you're a Gibson guy. So that's
it's huge, but it's Chris Farley.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't last 10 seconds. All right, Randy, how about yourself?
Well, this is a walk in the park. I mean, I've been accused of having no emotion, so I'm taking the Black Beauty. I'm going home with it.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, the trade-off is hefty because I'm with Tony on this one. I think I could walk out with the Black Telecaster, but yeah, the experience of being live on set with Farley would just be too great an opportunity to pass.
I laugh just thinking about it.
Yes, yeah. So I'm with Jared and Bob. Crouch on this one. I'm gonna forego the riches and stay with the experience.
To the victor go the spoils.
Yeah.
You could cash out as the guy that gave up a guitar for laughing on TV.
Yeah,
that works.
That's true.
You could write a book.
And Gibson would probably give me a brand new one. Oh, sorry for your loss, pal. You know, they're like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Easy now.
Yeah. Blasphemer. Hey,
Gibson
Bob,
Gibb.
that was a fantastic Would You
Bob,
Rather.
that was
Thank
good.
you so much. That was really cool. And off the heels of a great interview. Thank you so much, Randy. We got to say thank you to a few people, and then we're going to send you off into the great evening or whatever.
Ether.
Ether. Okay, go
Send
ahead.
it to the ether. That's right, Todd. At this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, how do you become? What is an executive producer?
I don't know.
Tell me.
An executive producer makes the show possible.
That's true.
How do you become an executive
You
producer?
go to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs.
That's right. And there you can sign up to be a sponsor,
That's right.
a patron,
A patron.
a hero of
All
the
three
podcast.
of those things at once.
Yes.
Wow.
Each level comes with some very, very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win wonderful prizes. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared, what would that be?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, James White, Motander Guitars, Anthony Gemolero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
All right.
Thank you, one and all. But Todd, there's one more group of executive producers.
I like to hear that.
We call them our grand poobahs. These are the cream of the crop, the top of the heap. number ones.
King of the hill.
Yes.
Extra special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups,
Yep.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando, and Moon Guitars.
All right. Thank you guys so much. You keep the machine rolling. We could not do it without you.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to entertain you as one of our new supporters. If you've been thinking about it, just go ahead and do it. It'll make our day. I promise. I'll even
Yes.
tell you that in a note. We've got some great giveaways coming up, so that's another thing to be looking forward to. But for now, we need to say thank you so much to Randy Parsons for joining us on the show tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
You are more than welcome. Where can people go find the things that you are doing right now?
Just go to my Instagram at Parsons Guitars.
And be on the lookout for that 30th anniversary
Yes.
offer to get one of these.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Boy, imagine the person that getting the 0001 or whatever.
First come, first serve on the serial numbers. So
There you go. Tony, where can people find you?
Go over to pickguardian.com, check out some of the things that I do have available for sale, but by and large what I do is custom work, so shoot me an email, let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will make it happen.
Brilliant. Jared?
You can find me on Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. Message me and ask me about pickups or guitars, or if you have any questions, let me know.
Excellent. You can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. Love to hear from you. Send us your Would You Rathers like Bob Crouch did. That was fantastic.
Yes.
And please go check out the Valentinos. We just released a new single last week, and we've got an EP coming up on the 20th.
Nice.
So very, very cool stuff, and got a couple shows in and around Ohio as well. So thank you. Everybody have a fantastic guitar week out there, and subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Jared, what'd you have for breakfast?
Nothing.
Everything is the right word. Okay.
Yeah, the
I had
meatloaf.
nothing.
No, I was.
Go in order.
Damn it. You and your rules, Todd.
We can break the rules here.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Okay. Let's just start that again.
Just count me in or something. Just
Well, that we're going
to.
Okay, let's just do. I'll do
All
a
right,
fresh one
do
so I
it.
don't have to edit the living crap out of this.
All right.
He'll announce himself. He'll say, test. Watch, he'll do it. Do you have a beard?
Do I have a beard?
No, that's terrible, Tony.
Yeah.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Guess
So I'm.
guess where Randy is from, Jared.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Topeka, Kansas.
No, Southeast Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that not good enough? Was that the best? Was that not the Kansas you were hoping for?
Damn.
No, I don't.
Northwest Kansas.
Game.
I start wondering if these are actual movies or just crazy things in Todd's head.
Yes.
I had eggs and toast.
So, I noticed that you have. There he is.
Test.
There it is. What do we tell you?
It's so predictable.
Why?
You hearing my beard?
Jared's going to join us.
Okay. That's super. I'm glad he's telling us he's going to do something instead of just doing it.
Yeah. One time he popped.
I think I'm going to probably join you guys. Well, why don't you just join?
Yay.
That
All right.
Okay.
Well,
And away we go.
that's my line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.